am here with Kelli Syfan this afternoon from Applied Behavioral Happiness. So Kelli is actually helping us build out some of our newest classes here at Nurtured Nest, and we lovingly call them the years classes right now. Think of them as a syllabus for your child. So for year 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we are really excited about them, but I just can't get them to you fast enough. And so one of the topics that we see often in our social scroll that we get questions about, Kelli gets a lot of questions in her business about this, it's body autonomy and consent. And I, face some of that in my own parenting journey. So I was really excited to have Kelli here. But Kelli, tell us briefly about what you do day to day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Kathryn. So I'm the owner of Applied Behavioral Happiness, where we partner with parents to overcome challenging behavior through skill building programs and play. Our big focus is on making sure we're using consent-based services, so helping kids choose to make behavioral changes instead of coercing or forcing those changes. It's been a really cool process for us to find the best ways to do that, and we love being able to share it with the families we serve.
Cool. I think your business is awesome. I do have to share this one caveat, and I'm going to call myself out. So when Kelli and I first met, I just assumed because applied behavioral, that also goes with something called ABA therapy that just has a pretty bad rap in the world. And so briefly give me like a quickie. I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but tell me if somebody's listening and heard that and was like, ooh, I heard ABA is bad. I don't know about this Kelli girl. Tell us about that.
Sure. I'm happy to be put on the spot for this because, like we've talked about before, ABA is a field that has made a lot of bad choices. And I will not sit and pretend that there haven't been many situations where it wasn't used well. And having been trained in this science and completely burned out of the field and having to reemerge and start this business going, we can use the science well, we can use it more kind, we can use it with empathy first, and we can use it with consent first. And to take the newest research and really bring those pieces in and go, this can be better. Well, I know this can be better. And then watching it be better, watching kids make choices to work on really difficult things when they have the chance to do something easy, or they have the chance to just hang out, and watching them choose to build these skills and choose to change their behavior. Again, when everything else is available either way, is such a beautiful thing. And I think if you are concerned about behavior analysis, again, you have every right to be. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it and to talk about the pros and cons as we go along.
Cool. Okay. Well, what I want to talk to you today, I'm going to bring in some of my own personal parenting journey, and I think it's about consent. So as a female right now in this current climate, I think consent is brought up a lot. I think I reflect upon my childhood, my adolescence, and realize how much I wasn't taught about consent, that just kind of going along with things. And I think about there were probably some harmful things, some yucky things that happened to me because I wasn't aware. And my generation wasn't as, I guess, cognizant of this body autonomy thing. And so as I'm raising my girls, I want to instill that in them, but I also don't want to be so extreme. And so the first thing has been no, like the touch thing and the no in our house. I'll give you an example. So oldest child, she's 5.5 now, but from a young age, when we would be playing and maybe her dad would be tickling her and she would go, no, daddy, no. I would immediately, we would always call each other out. You got to stop. She said no. And we would say to her, no means no. So much so she started buying into that catchphrase and would tell us no means no. And we're like, yeah, girl, you got it. We were feeling proud. And so we continue on. Like now she's got a little sister and they're chasing and playing, and little sister says, no, I don't want you to chase. And we tell her, no means no. Like that's a hard no. It means you have to stop. And I'm hopeful that transfers over, into future life. bullying, boyfriends, whatever it is, right? But then they've started to use that no means no thing back on me, the parent. So like bath time, or okay, girls, it's time to stop watching a show. And we need to make this transition time. And then they're like, no. And remember, no means no. It's our body, it's our choice. We can do this. So gosh, like where as a parent do you draw the line? How do you maintain that with your child? And what does that look like?
Yeah, that's such a big question. And I think it's really important to start with that every family is different and that will look different for every family. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to leave you with that as the only answer today. We're definitely going to dig deep into some different directions that we can look. But we're going to start with, if your family is one where touching and hugging and kissing and all those things are a part of your family culture, then that may look different than a family where hugs are a little bit less common. And it's not to say one cares more, cares less, is too much, is too little, or what have you. But it's okay that there's differences between families and that there's limits that are different between each kid. You may find that one child has more of these limits than the other. You may have to treat things a little bit differently in order to respect both of them. And at the same time, you have to be able to set these boundaries as the parent and be able to work through, because I'm sorry, you can't eat ice cream for every dinner, stay up till midnight and not go to school tomorrow. It's just not going to work, my friend. It's my job as the adult to care for you. And sometimes that means a difficult decision has to be made on my part to not be the fun guy. That's just the way it's going to be. So let's take that example.
You just said, can I tag
yes,
on
please jump in.
Said? So one of the things that I often tell my children is that my job is to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, and then if they question some of the things I do, I'm like, oh man, what is my job? And now both at 3 1/4 and 5 1/2, they can repeat back to me, job is to keep me safe. Or if, what's daddy's job? To keep you safe. And, that's just our family. I think you probably within every family, you maybe have your own little go-to phrase, but that has helped us. And I was glad to hear you say that was something that you would recommend saying, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What comes with a phrase like that is a really good, like, hey, here are the ways that we can teach you that I am trustworthy of having that job, and how to pick out which people may not be trustworthy of having that job. So they may not have your best interest in mind, because there are some hard no things where like, hey, it's been a week, we have to take a bath. Now there's a lot there that is potentially difficult when you get to body autonomy, because you have to be unclothed and you have to get into the shower and you may have an adult in the room with you. And we want to make sure that when we have, hey, mommy and daddy are here to keep you safe, here's how you tell that this person is safe and going to care for you. Here are the people that never would qualify, period. No matter what they say, what they do, they'll never qualify for that. And what do you do if one of them tries to act like they're being mommy or daddy or trying to be this safe person? What do you do to be able to parse out, yeah, this is somebody who doesn't have my best interest in mind? And some of those skills are much more complex. So when we're talking 3 and 5-year-olds, it might just be mommy or daddy or direct permission from mommy and daddy, period. End of the line. That's it. But there are times, where this is just for your safety. And it sucks, but I do have to pick you up because you can't sit in the middle of the road. Like, hey, I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and why. And we're going to talk about it after. It'd be like, hey, I know you didn't want me to pick you up just then. It's my job to keep you safe. That's why I picked you up. Do you want me to do it differently next time? Let's talk it through. But taking those moments to go, this is why I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing. How can I make you most comfortable with it? Because it has to happen. And this is why it's, with me and not with somebody else.
Hey, Kelli, I know I'm derailing you from your original thought. We'll get back there. But I just wanted to say that I think that that's really good for us to hear as parents. I was having another behavior thing going on and shared something in a blog about that. And I that was stepping away from the situation. And then of course I scroll past something that says never leave your child in a fit. And I'm like, wow. And it's similar here. So it's like body autonomy, respect them, don't pick them up, it's their body. And I'm like, but wait, there's certain times like, then you have to physically move them or physically put them someplace. Like I've had to our 3-year-old this weekend. I've had to physically pull her out of a situation. And that's just really good to know that there are situations that warrant it, and being able to talk with them through it and just staying that calm leader parent and letting them know and demonstrating that is how you get through that. But to be a respectful parent, which I think a lot of us listening want to be these respectful parents, it doesn't mean that you don't ever pick your kid up or move them when they're protesting you, or you don't tell them no when, or go against their no, I guess is a better way to say it. So
Sure.
thanks for that.
Yeah, I think the next important point on that is to encourage them to tell another adult afterwards. So
Mm.
if you pick them up like, hey, this happened, you said no, and I had to pick you up, you should make sure you tell dad about it. So that immediately they go, this didn't feel quite right. My next step after I've talked it through, or this person won't talk it through with me, I'm going to go to my safe person and tell them about it. That's my next step forward. So again, you're creating that pathway of this is perfectly normal to be able to talk about these things. This is the safe path to go. If something doesn't feel quite right, if that no wasn't respected in that moment, my next step is to tell a safe person. And it becomes a moment of connection with everybody in there.
Hey, man, if we walked away from this conversation with just that, what a good ad. And I want you guys to know we're talking about young children. We're talking about, you can start doing these things with your babies, right? They may not
Absolutely.
respond and they may not respond in the way that you would want them to, but before you know it, they will, and they'll become accustomed to it. So as you're listening, if you're thinking, oh, I wouldn't do this with my child, yeah, you should get in these habits now. It's good to practice the language.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially when we're talking diaper changes and things with kids, talking them through, hey, I'm about to change your diaper. This is what's going to happen. Just practicing that talking through can be really helpful in the long run.
Kelly, you'll love to hear that in baby's first year, that's our brand new class that
Mhm.
Irene Googe, she's a postpartum doula, and she's going to be doing that. And we actually do a whole demo on diapering, and because it's such great connection,
Love it.
but it's also really respectful
Mhm.
for your kids. And it's just good practice from the very beginning. Okay. Tell us, we're not going to keep you guys here very long today. Like I said, I think I've got my golden nugget. I could walk away, but share with me if you could tell parents of, toddler, preschool age parents, anything about this, how to approach body autonomy and teaching consent in their house. What would you tell them?
I'd say think about the situations where you're likely to get a no. So you have to get off the tablet and come eat dinner. And P.S. I made the thing that I'm pretty sure you're not into, or it's new, heaven forbid, or I may have peeled the banana wrong. You just don't know. There's a couple of things that are likely not going to go perfectly smashed together. Okay, I know this situation is coming up. What I might try to do is come in, and this is, fairly common advice, to come in with a choice and to go, okay, we need to be getting off of the tablet. Do you want 2 more minutes or 1 more minute? Okay, you chose 2, not surprising. And working through little steps like that so that you're encouraging progress toward the adult goal while also giving them a chance to have their needs expressed. Now, will it work perfectly every time? Absolutely not. Toddlers are exceptional at finding loopholes, but it's a great place to start in coming in with, okay, this is going to be difficult for them. How do I give them some control and some autonomy as we work through this together? And I'm here to help you work through this. We've got to put that down. We've got to get to dinner, but it's not about, kiddo, you're right, you're wrong, you made a good choice, bad choice. It's I'm here to support you working through this moment. And again, sounds simple. It's not, but we'll talk about that even more as these year's classes come along.
Yeah, no, that's good. And it echoes something I was listening to. Some of you may listen to Janet Lansbury, and I love her dearly. Sometimes she's living in a super perfect world. But you know what she said? And I'll share, this is my interpretation of what she said. So this is not verbatim, but that in those situations, absolutely, those 2 choices, of course, we're not going to give them like 3, 4 choices. You heard Kelly say like 2 choices and help them move. Those transition times, Janet emphasized, are the hardest times, especially for toddlers, 3, 4-year-olds, like transition time. So just know in your head to plan ahead that might be hard. And that if they kind of, this is my word, Janet didn't say this, but they like buck at you, like, right? Like they're not taking your choice. That sometimes as the parent, that's when we have to step in as that strong leader. But I think we do it with that language. And Janet echoed this too, but you were saying like, I'm here to support you. And this is what we have to do right now. This is what happens next in our day. And I know that you really want to continue watching that show, but it's over. We have to feed our bodies because that's what gives us energy and keeps us healthy. The end. And if there's a toddler there, they're probably going to try to logic with you or like throw something down. And that's where I get weeded. I start trying to logic and you just stick with, so what I'm trying currently testing in our house is just sticking with that same story. Oh man, I hear you. Or just even looking them in the eyes and giving them that affirmation. And it can feel bad sometimes. But I love the Kelli thing of like, hey, I'm doing this. And you'll have to tell dad about it later, that mom had to pick you out of the situation, or Nona or Papa or your older sister, whoever it is. Yep. I love that addition because it adds to that, because it does feel a little dirty, sneaky dirty to like pull them out of something. Because then I translate that. I'm like, oh, but don't ever let your creepy boyfriend do this to you.
Yeah. P.S.
Mom of 2 little girls, or, don't ever let your partner later in life do this to you against your will. So I'm worried about that translating, but you don't think that's really going to happen, do you, Kelli?
You know me, Oracle Kelli. No, I think the big focus again is sometimes we have to make difficult choices as the adults. And that doesn't mean we're going to make perfect choices every time. It means we're going to do our best in the moment, that if we need to apologize, we can, that if we need to figure out the skill that needs to be taught, then we can take the time to do that. We can call on our resources to figure these things out. And when we notice those moments where we went, man, I don't feel good about my decision there, taking the time to go, and here's why, and here's how I'm going to change it next time. Then doing our best to change it, giving ourselves grace because we are human and we will have bad moments and good moments. Really can be powerful.
Yeah, no, I love that. And just knowing that you're not always going to get it right, and just reflection afterwards. And sometimes that's reflection with your 2-year-old, as in, mommy didn't like the word she used. I'm sorry. That's all you have to say. You don't have to get into the weeds with them, and reflect with your partner, reflect with your parent, and talk through it. So the next time when they throw that at you, you might be a little bit more prepared. But I just think sometimes we may get the idea that everybody else is doing it flawlessly, and we're not.
No.
Yeah. So, and the resources, Kelli just said, find your resources. And that those are people like Kelli, people like our Dr. Corey that works with us, our family psychotherapist, even some of the speech language pathologists that focus on communication, like Kate Willow, your pediatrician. Okay. So there are a lot of resources. It could be one of your good friends too. That could be a good place to start. You don't have to jump to our medical community first. It could be a friend to hash it out with. But I think that was, that's good as well. Making time to talk through it. Okay, Kelli, we're going to wrap it up. We don't like to keep our families around too long. I think that this was really good, and I just cannot wait for you to add your insight to these upcoming year's classes. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.